Welcome to Module 6 out of 8. This is Mariana and an exciting time for preparing for the future, where the inevitable topic of neoevolution is going to be discussed. My translation of neoevolution is derived after watching the 3 TED Talk videos and reading Icarus, a historian's perspective in our text. I do have a conflicted personal standpoint on neoevolution. However, starting off with our text, building our socio-technical future inside technology, page 600 reads that technology of human enhancement are developing ever more rapidly along 3 major fronts: pharmaceutical, prosthetics, informatics, and genetics. End quote. My first image, of course, is that of a drone ambling around 4060 New Jersey or in Garden State Plaza Mall, mumbling, "I am Borg, I am Borg." However, with further consideration and listening to TED Talk's Harvey Feinberg, neoevolution is a beneficial human progression, as he starts his talk with the following open quote: "How would you like to be better than what you are? Suppose I said that with a few changes in your genes, you can have a better memory, more precise, more accurate, and quicker. Or maybe you'd like to be more fit, stronger with more stamina. Or you would like to be more attractive and self-confident." End quote. It all sounded beautiful. That said, I can't help but wonder, why is everything under the premise that consciousness dies with the body, once the body's duties have ended, and that we no longer have an existence? Just curious, resounding questions I continue to have. I personally do believe in biological advances. Listening to Harvey's, there's a third evolutionary possibility, and it's clear that neoevolution isn't just for current life forms, but is also applicable for future life forms. Having superior children with minimal genetic errors is an enticing, intriguing, as well as frightening possibility. And that is exactly what he calls neoevolution. The new evolution is not simply natural, but guided, and is chosen for us by as individuals in the choices that we make. Now, how could this come about? How could it be possible that we would do this? Consider first the reality that people today in some cultures are making choices about their offspring, he continues to say. And he goes on to say that in some cultures, choosing to have more males than females. It's not necessarily good for the society, but it is what the individual and the family are choosing, end quote. He continues to discuss the elimination of diabetes, continues to discuss the elimination of Alzheimer's as well as other diseases. That includes cancer, eliminating strokes, and a difficult position to take, but determining to having an average child versus a super kid who will be able to have a higher probability to compete educationally as well as professionally. That leads us to the second point of Module 6 blog. That's to provide an example of a technology that is altering or may alter human evolution. I've read them several times actually, but I gravitated towards the Human Genome Project. It started in 1990, took 13 years, and cost $2.7 billion. As of today, according to Dr. Feinberg, $20,000 in about a week, you can map out the entire human genome of both the sperm and the egg. And he also stated that it would not be very long before it would be about $1,000 human genome, and that is definitely marketable for the masses. That, as a matter of fact, is less than an in vitro type of procedure known today. To point 3 in our module, there are definitely potential benefits for this type of technology. Our textbook cites several case studies where this type of technology could have positively impacted the lives of multitudes of individuals. One case study revolved around a little girl who was diagnosed with bubble boy syndrome, having nil-to-none immunity, and because of an experimental approach of stem cells, she's now well and she's living an independent existence. The potential benefits that I could also have listed earlier, such as minimizing disease and risk to offspring, giving a child a head start by either impacting the sperm or ovo, or perhaps both, would eliminate any specific medical situations or medical treatment altogether of that disease. And this will in turn lead us to point 4 of today's blog, the potential drawbacks. Now imagine a flawless world of super beings. I am Borg innuendo keeps coming back into mind. According to our text on page 606, Johnson and Whitmore state that by the year 2050, this is a quote, by the year 2050, our society is likely to include a wide variety of truly hybrid beings, part genetically modified human, part machine. To be sure, some individuals and some entire family lines will no doubt follow a conservative path, rejecting major modifications. But others will push their enhancement possibilities to the limit. No one can foresee what those more aggressively modified people will look like or act like, but that is probable that from today's standpoint it will be deeply unsettling to behold, both when they are at rest and when they do. End quote. The book further states that this type of evolution will affect the qualities we deem most centrally and deeply human. Another quote. Personally, emotions, cognitive abilities, talents, memory, perception, physical sensation, the boundaries between one and another person. All of those attributes will be subject to deliberate manipulation. It's hard to see how such an unrelenting succession of profound changes would not produce disorientation, a continually destabilized identity among the citizenry of the upcoming era. End quote. The drawback, in essence, would be the establishment of a new norm where the human element simply dissipates or becomes obsolete. And I would definitely hate to imagine a futuristic war where the human element isn't employed and strictly based on vengeance or revenge or things along that nature, where you don't necessarily have the human aspect to counteract that. And that brings us up to point 5. The moral and ethical implications of the moral and ethical implications, of neoevolution. While I'm completely pro bio-advancement and moderation, of course, as well as best potential existence for the most number of individuals, I can't help but wonder several points. One of them that I brought up earlier, which is my assumption from reading the text and listening to TED Talks, that we are consciously non-existent if our physical vessel is to be obsolete. And during our transition to, I don't know where, will our human element be more valuable than it might be potentially here? Will our consciousness diminish if we make a cognizant effort to minimize weakness, to focus on strength, or to make superior humans? Aside from my personal perspective, we have the obvious religious based and other moral implications. A supporting statement from our text indicates that enhancement technologies hold the possibility of liberating humans from many of their constraints and their afflictions, but also dividing humankind more profoundly than at any other time in recorded history. It is not at all clear whether a population of highly enhanced humans can coexist peacefully alongside a population of unmodified humans. There will be plenty of opportunities for prejudice, resentment, dehumanizing stereotypes, of course going both ways, and that is found on page 607 in our text. As for whether we should or should not continue to pursue human genome mapping, well, I'm gathering from the data that I've seen, it's pretty much unstoppable, barring any significant interruption to our evolution. I don't see how we can, stop it at all. I do think that there should be an ethics board of teachers, doctors, philosophers, mechanics, aestheticians, chemists, physicists, massage therapists, recommending just a few to just kind of take a moderate look at precession of caution as how we pursue this new human genome mapping availability to the masses. Moderation and balance is key, and I would love for some energy to be placed in getting clean water to areas where severe droughts instead of focusing on making an army of men to carry on the family name. Someone should tell them that it takes a woman to make men. And I stand online for a good 5 minutes staring at the Starbucks menu, deciding whether I go with very berry hibiscus or lemonade iced tea. That is a true natural selection. So thank you for listening to blog number 6. And I'll be leaving you for this evening. Have a good night.